Welcome back to Live Wild. I'm Hilary Rose, and today's conversation is one that feels like a homecoming. In this episode, I sit down with the incredible Eimear Burke, Chief Druid of the Order of Bards, Ovates and Druids. Eimear is a storyteller, a wisdom keeper, and someone who carries a deep understanding of what it means to return to ourselves and reconnect with the living world around us. We talk about coming back to nature, the cycles of life, and how ancient Druidic teachings can guide us in these very modern times. Eimear shares what Druidry really is beyond the cliches and how its practices can root us, nourish us, and remind us of our place in the great web of life.
And I remember I was signing up for their introductory pack, and I had a decision to make, or a choice, either, because I'm a psychologist, to do a psychotherapy supervisor's course in Trinity or do the OBOD course, because I knew I couldn't do both. This is the right thing to do. This is what I want to do. And just swinging between the two. And anyway, I clicked on the send button for the introductory course. And as soon as I did, this rush of energy came through me, and I knew it was the right thing, and I've never looked back. And then I did the introductory course, and I thought, I can't wait to just start. And I did. And people will say this, and because I interview Druids every week, they'll all say, I came home, I found my home, I found my community. And these are people from all over the world. It's just a wonderful order to belong to.
This is a conversation about remembering, about listening, about belonging, both to the land and to ourselves. So settle in, take a breath, and let's dive into this beautiful exploration with Chief Druid, Eimear Burke. Eimear Burke, you're so welcome to the Live Wild podcast. Thank you so much for joining me here today.
I'm delighted to be here, Hilary.
Oh, it's such a joy. It's such a joy. I was just saying to you that I had planted seeds within the universe to try and chat to you, and then it just happened to come my way. So I'm thrilled. Thank you, universe, that has happened. How does one become the chief of the Order of Bards, Ovates and Druids? That's a big question, but how does one become that?
I have no idea. I don't know how it happened. I was in the order about 15 years, and I was in Italy at a Druid camp with Philip, my predecessor, and Stephanie, our scribe. And they just said, we were sitting on our friend's terrazza in Rome, and he said, we just like this, we'd like to invite you. And I thought they were inviting me specifically to their house for something like dinner or something. We'd like you to be chosen chief. And I just, what? I couldn't believe it. I just felt, no. I wasn't my first reaction was, no, I don't want this. It wasn't like, well, what took you so long? It was, no, I don't want this. This is just too big. So they said, go away and think about it. So I went away and thought about it. So it took me a while. But it's a lovely order to be the chief of. And I'm a spiritual leader. I'm not managing people. I'm not, reaching targets, and I don't do budgets or anything like that. It's the figurehead, the spiritual leader of the order. So that's what I can do. And it's a wonderful order to belong, to be a part of.
It's so amazing. And you know what, when it comes to stories as well, it's always the reluctant leader is always the best one. So I've no doubt they made the wise choice there.
And it's funny because, people say it's chosen chief. I didn't choose you. Well, then you don't actually, even in an election, there's a big percentage of the people who didn't vote for who got in. So I was chosen by, and I will choose my successor. It's if there was an election, I wouldn't have gone for it. And had there been an application process, I would never have gone for it.
Wow. That's so interesting. How long have you been chosen?
Since 2020. Well, I took over in 2020, but I had over a 2-year run in. It was announced before that. I was asked about 3 years beforehand, and then we announced it 2 years beforehand, and then a kind of shadowing Philip and that kind of thing, which was really nice. So it was kind of a nice easing in. And it was important for the order and for Philip to have a nice succession process in place rather than waiting until he died, because often that happens. And he's very charismatic and, a hard act to follow, and very much loved and respected. And he hasn't gone, he's still around. And just better that it all be prepared in advance so that the order continues to function. Because many organizations, particularly if you've had a charismatic founder or leader, although Philip didn't found the order Ross Nichols did, but he was there for so long that when that leader goes, then often there's factions and fighting and all that kind of stuff.
Mm.
And this didn't happen. It was just that nice transition from one
Mm.
chosen chief to another, and hopefully that will continue that pattern, so that the order, is healthy and continues to grow
Mm.
within itself. I
Stays
mean,
stable throughout the
basically,
transition.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
What first drew you to Druidry? Like, what was the turning point in your life that made you fully commit to this path?
Well, I suppose I was brought up like lots of Irish people, Roman Catholic family, strict Catholic family. And
Mhm.
when I was 9, I had an epiphany during religion class in school. The God the nun was talking about didn't exist. So that was really scary because I thought I was
Wow.
going to go to hell.
That's a big epiphany for a 9-year-old.
Yeah, I was never religious anyway.
Okay.
Even I remember making my communion. It was like looking all around me. I just didn't get it. And so I remained an agnostic for years.
Mm.
And I wasn't rebellious as a teenager, so I didn't refuse to go to mass. I complied. But then I went to Africa in the early 80s as a nurse, and I came back and I thought, I can't be doing this. I can't even be pretending.
Wow.
So then I moved away from any kind of ritual or the word prayer or meditation. I just said, just leave all of that because it just jarred with me.
Mm.
And then I so I lived in Kenya for a number of years in the early 80s. And then I went to Lesotho in the late 80s. And I just joined a meditation group and began to look differently at spirituality and the other world. That's where I heard about Glastonbury. I'd never heard of it
Oh,
before. Heard
yeah.
about Fintorn in Africa. And so I joined a healers group and started studying traditional healing.
Wow.
And then I came home and I worked with a medicine woman from the US. And then I started going to Tanzania. I was working there, met a healer friend, and I loved it. And I had initiations, and this is all just wonderful. So I love the Native American, the nature connection, and the African, but none of it was for my landscape. So I was
Mm.
frustrated.
Mm.
Even though I was invited in and welcomed in, I thought, but it's not my landscape. And I was with Shaban, my healer friend, in Dublin in a bookshop, and this book hops out, The Modern Day Druidess by Cassandra Eason. I looked at this and I said, what do you think? And he said, get it. So I bought it. And, it was just, she's a solitary druid. It's practical. You can have a grove in a city in an apartment with 4 pots,
Mm.
plants. So this was easy and accessible. And she mentioned OBOD at the back of the book, said she had studied with them, a good order, but she liked to be solitary. So I thought, well, I looked up the order. I said, I don't like groups either. I'm happy to be solitary. So I joined. And I remember I was signing up for their introductory pack and I had a decision to make, or a choice, either because I'm a psychologist, to do a psychotherapy supervisor's course in Trinity or do the OBOD course because I knew I couldn't do both.
Mm.
This is the right thing to do. This is what I want to do. And just
Mm.
swinging between the two. And anyway, I clicked on the send button for the introductory course. And as soon as I did, this rush of energy came through me and I knew it was the right thing and I've never looked back. And then as
Wow.
I did the introductory course, I thought, I can't wait just to start. And I did. So it's like, and people will say this, and because I interview Druids every week on a live stream, and they'll all say, I came home, I found my home, I found my
Oh.
community. And these are people from all over the world. And
Mm.
um, it's just a wonderful order to belong to. So that's how it happened. And
That's
then I started
amazing.
holding ceremonies here. So myself and my late husband Howard, and we started off with 3 people, and now we have a nice, big community that comes every 6 weeks to celebrate the Wheel of the Year. An eclectic mix. They're not all Druids. They're people who've a nature connection or for whom the ceremonies have a resonance, and they come and join us. And we have a lovely community
It's so beautiful. How long are you in it now?
since 2003.
Wow, that's lovely. So I suppose it's seen as an ancient tradition, but it feels so much more relevant these days. How do you see it evolving today?
What it is, I mean, we don't know how our Druidic ancestors practiced Druid. They wrote nothing down, so we don't know about their
Mm.
rituals. You can glean stuff from the landscape, the
Mm.
place names, from the myths and legends, the manuscripts that they have references to Druids, and also from the Irish language. You can get hints about how it was
Mm.
and how. we work in circles. We follow the sun. There's clues in the Irish language as to how our ancestors may have engaged with the natural world. But
Mm.
the important thing is that Druidry is an organic spiritual path, and that's relevant for today. And people say, "Well, you're making it up." Well, I maybe. However, aren't all religions made up? So
100%.
God spoke to somebody, or spirit spoke to someone under a tree or on a mountaintop, gave them commandments, or a bolt of light hit them, and we take their word for it. And
Mm.
those traditions are very, 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 very strong and long lasting.
Mhm.
So it's dogma free. So we don't have a big book, and we don't have a list of sins or
Mhm.
commandments. So it's a very organic, empowering spiritual. I'm talking about OBOD now. I'm not talking about any other Druid order. I can't speak for
Sure.
them. But we have, ours is very diverse. So we will have members who don't come from so-called Celtic ancestry
Mhm.
or from these lands, but it calls to them, and you say, okay.
Mm.
So we will have Christians who are Druids, Muslims, Buddhists, Jews who are Druids, pagans, agnostics, animists, all together. And because we're
Wow.
not dogmatic, we share values. We share values around the pursuit of wisdom, creativity, love of nature, healing, being of service. Being of service is very, very important.
Mm.
And how you are of service is up to you. But we can stand in circle and hold a ceremony and not fight over, is it two gods, one god, many gods? It's not. It's not important. And we go beyond that and just share those values of being responsible, being ethical,
Mm.
operating from your own internal moral compass. So we don't have a good book of rules. We have to take responsibility for ourselves. So it's very free and very empowering. And I think that's our numbers are growing now, and particularly since 2020. Not since I took over. I'd love to say it was that, but I took over during the pandemic, during lockdown.
Mm.
And now with the amplification of the climate crisis and its awareness, those two factors, I think, have provided a space for people who want to think freely for themselves, for whom perhaps their older religion, the religions they were brought up in, haven't offered them what they needed. Now, some people
Mm.
leave their Christianity or the Judaism or whatever it is and say, never again, I'm now a Druid and this is where I am. And others
Mm.
go, no, I want to bring that with me and I want to weave it together with the Druidry. And Druidry allows that you can weave a Druidic worldview with any other spiritual path.
It's so wonderful. It just sounds to me, respectfully to all other religions and thought process, but it sounds so evolved, really.
I
To
hope so.
have.
I hope so.
It does, I mean, you've answered part of it, but what does it look like to be a druid in today's world? I know you spoke about integrity and values. I suppose, what are the misconceptions that people have
Well,
about?
I suppose that it's men with long beards is one. And
Yeah.
people say, yes, but what about all the human sacrifice that they engaged in? And we don't have much evidence that there was a lot of human sacrifice going on.
Mm.
And we say, well, it did. And I go, well, we have to look at the modern world and look at the human sacrifice that is sanctioned by governments
Goodness,
all over the
yes.
world. And it's called collateral damage or whatever it is, or the spoils of war. So when we talk about human sacrifice, nobody can afford to talk or criticize anybody.
Yeah.
And it's not been written in the text anywhere about human sacrifices, certainly. The Romans had some accounts of uh, Druids in Gaul and Britain, but in Ireland, I haven't seen it. You
Mm.
find, say, some bog bodies that there's evidence that they were ritually killed. But how
Mm.
often that was, I have no idea, or how
Mm.
common it was. But I think it's the nature connection. It's that, and peace.
Mm.
So there's really, central to Druidry is that of peace. Keeping it, maintaining it, but also it's what's really important is about starting with this. We have this prayer, you know, deep within the still center of my being, may I find peace.
Mm.
Silently within the quiet of the grove, may I share peace, and gently within the greater circle of humankind, may I radiate peace. The thing is, it has to start with yourself.
Mm.
Central to Druidry is your own inner world, and developing that, an inner grove, an inner place to meditate, and then with an eye to the landscape and the seasons. So when your inner world is in sync with the outer world, then there's harmony and balance in your own life.
Mm. Mhm.
So it all starts within, and it's not either or. Sometimes I get criticized. You're talking about peace, inner peace. What about the poor people who are dealing with war? It's like it's not either or. It's
Mm.
both and. But all peace has to start here.
Mm. Do you think your background as a psychologist aids what you do as a druid
Oh, I
in
think
that
it does.
respect?
And
Mm.
Philip, my predecessor, who wrote the teachings, is also a psychologist. So
Ah, nice.
there's, I think, the teachings are informed by psychology,
Mm.
uh, which
Certainly.
which is around, your own empowerment, your own questioning, um, your goals in life, what it is you want to achieve, how you do it, taking responsibility for yourself, become an agent for your own life and your own path, pursuing creativity, wisdom, healing, all of that. It's all interwoven with psychology.
Mm.
So, absolutely, yes.
How do you think druids interpret and work with the energy of the land? I remember hearing a story a long time ago. You're probably aware of this. Now, it's just kind of rattling around in my head this morning about there was a man, he was a farmer, there was a standing stone on his land. I think a bull scratching himself off it, knocked it over, something like that. And he went to the druids, whatever order it was, to have them place the stone back up because he felt that since the stone was knocked, that he had a lot of misfortune, we'll say. And this is a very loose
Yeah, I
telling
know
of
this
my
brings
version of the story.
yeah.
Okay. Okay. So how do you think your what you do um, works with the land and the energy of the land?
Well, I mean, I've heard anecdotal stories of, where someone has removed a standing stone or say knocked a special tree, that
Uh-huh.
things aren't the same
Yeah.
since. And I think places have energy, places have memory.
Mm.
Uh, I mean, I go to very sacred sites. Some resonate more with me than others.
Hmm.
I have favorite places, particularly the trees, actually. Woods really do it for me. And it's a bit
Yes.
like with people. You don't resonate with every person you meet. You don't resonate with every song you hear. You don't resonate with every food you eat. And I think it's the same with places. And
Mm.
uh, if you, I would like to describe myself as an animist. So everything is ensouled. So every animal, every plant, but every stone, every tree, every river is
Mm.
ensouled. And you can have a soul connection with various places. Uh, I know people have come here. There was one woman, she was from Brazil, of Italian origin, came and started crying. And she's, I don't know why, but this feels like my home.
Yeah.
So for her, there was a resonance. I've been
Mm.
in Scotland near a standing stone and having a really strong connection there, although I don't have any Scottish ancestors. But it may
Mm.
go back further, light line ancestors. I don't know. There are places that call to us all. So that farmer who's recognizing this, there's something not right with my land since this has happened, then I
Mhm.
will remedy that. My cousin is a farmer, and she was working on her family farm, and there was a flat stone. It may have once been standing at some point. I don't know, but it
Yeah.
was in the middle of the field, and she told uh, stories that for generations they tried to get that stone out of the field, and every time they would, the machinery would break.
Oh, wow. Oh, I love this.
And she was determined this stone will never be touched. This stone is meant to be here. The reason those machines broke is
Mm.
that stone was never meant to be touched. And it's the same with, I have friends who have a farm, like they're dairy farmers, but they have a shkiak in the middle of their field and you can see it. And that field, that shkiak, that hawthorn tree is never touched.
I always think that when you see the tree in the center of the field and it's the lone standing tree, it's there for a reason. It wasn't knocked for a reason. And we've
Yeah. And
lost so much of our forestry as well. It's so special to keep it,
very sad. And that's very, very sad. And to
Mm.
have it replaced with conifers, that are not even native conifers.
And
is really,
destroying the acidity of the earth. Yeah, it's. I mean, what did we have? At one point, we could we could travel from treetop from north to south, and now I think it's something it's a ridiculous amount, like 11% of our native forest left, the lowest percentage in Europe, I think.
right.
Mm.
I think it's 11% of forestry. It's not 11% of native,
Oh, that's
which is
even worse.
scary. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think so. I think so.
What daily rituals or seasonal rituals would you personally practice to stay connected to nature?
Well, I live in a beautiful place.
Mm.
So I have a grove, I have a labyrinth in my garden. But when I
Oh,
first came here 28 odd years ago, there was a field. There's no more room to plant trees. So Howard, my husband, and I, we planted trees, and then trees came. And the only formal bit is a labyrinth that needs to be maintained. The rest
wow.
is kind of wild, with pathways through. So it's there all the time. And I'm looking out on my garden. Now the trees are bare as I look out now. And then just across the road from me is the River Nore.
Oh,
And
beautiful.
uh, and that is beautiful. And this place is steeped in history as well. So every 6 weeks we have a ceremony to mark the Wheel of the Year. So coming up on the 23rd of this month, we will have a ceremony.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I used to, when Howard was alive, I used to do full moon and dark moon ceremonies as well here. But I
Gorgeous.
just don't have, and now with running the order, I just do not have the time to do all of that. So
Mm.
I kind of do that mindfully myself. And then I have my own daily ritual of certain prayers of protection and clearing and healing for others. And I have an altar, and I have a little bowl with people's names in it for healing, and I light a candle and those kind of things. Just simple things. It doesn't have to be complex.
Mm.
Uh, you can. My husband used to, his morning ritual is to take some coffee and sit out in the grove, just listen to the birds and commune with the trees. It can be
Mm.
really, really simple. Uh,
I suppose that simplicity and consciousness are the two things. If you set an intention, like I would do, all the things that you're describing, I do. I'm like, am I a druid? Hang on a second. But all the things that you're describing, I do in my own version, and it's if it's done with intention, I think, and consciousness, that it's can
it
be very
is
special.
intentions everything. So in our in the lessons that we have, I say, here is a meditation. It's like this. We invite you to, if it feels right for you,
Hmm.
and if it doesn't feel right at this point, maybe you can try again later. But
Hmm.
here is something you might like to try,
Hmm.
and your intention might be. So it's always with an invitation, and these are things, and you get a whole menu, as you go along in the teachings or in the lessons, uh, a menu of things that you might like to try
Hmm.
around your breath, for example, particular movement, meditative movements, engaging with the trees and noticing what's around. And I think, one of the nicest things when somebody sees you and says, "Hi, Hilary,"
Hmm.
"Hi, Emer," and you go, "Oh, somebody actually called me by my name." And I think it's the same with nature. You notice a butterfly, you notice the first ladybirds. Oh, they're the bees. I hear them. They just come. I can hear them now. That means the temperature is up. Or the first buds on the trees. I love looking out for the little, the tiny female flowers on the hazel. They are so tiny. You see the
Oh,
catkins, they're the male ones, but you
yeah.
have to look for those tiny, tiny pink flowers. And that's an indication that you can sap the birch sap.
Oh, nice.
And it's so there's loads of things that you can pay attention to.
Mm.
And that's honoring nature.
Mm. So you think just paying attention to it is honoring it?
Oh, absolutely. And I suppose
Mm.
expressing gratitude for it, just
Oh, yeah.
thanking the
Yeah.
universe. Because gratitude is really, really important, no matter
Mm.
how hard your life is, to be able to express gratitude. It keeps you, I think, sane, being able to express gratitude, even
Mm.
if everything else is falling around, you know, in
Totally.
pain and grief or with sorrow, but you can still notice a bee or a butterfly, or like I'm looking at now the blue sky and there's the sun shining out there. It's cold, yet I can still appreciate the sunshine and the light. So it's
Yes.
those kind of things.
Yeah. Sometimes I find myself chatting to the flowers as I pass, going, "You're so beautiful. You're just so beautiful." I'm sure the neighbors think I'm bonkers. I'm like, "Oh my God, you're amazing. Look at you." Because the hellebores are out now at the moment and they're
Right.
so stunning.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Uh, Irish mythology, I suppose, is woven, very much into the practice. Do you have a favorite myth or legend that
Oh,
you
I'm a
like to?
storyteller, so do I have?
Yeah.
I have loads. So I I love telling stories from the perspective of a female character, finding the female voice,
Beautiful.
because a lot of our stories are very, very patriarchal. Um, so I like to say, okay, let's find her voice. I told her I'm a solemnizer of pagan weddings, and
Oh, wow, lovely.
I do legal and illegal weddings. Well, not.
That's the rebel coming out.
But as part of the ceremony, I tell a love story. It's this love story of Care and Angus Og, and
Mhm.
it's a beautiful, mythic love story, and it's a very empowering one. And the nub of the story is that you are loved and accepted for who you are, be you swan or be you woman,
Mm.
and it's just a beautiful story. So yes, and I love the one about Sive. It's my story about her because she doesn't have a story. She's mentioned. She's Oisin's mother.
Okay.
She's the deer that Finn McCool finds on Sliabh na Mán and takes her home. And then she
Yeah.
turns into a woman, and then she disappears again and never heard of again. It's like, wait a minute.
Yeah. Let's bring her back in now.
So yeah, so I tell her story from what happened before she became the deer and Finn found her, and what happened afterwards. So
Oh,
it's mine because
beautiful.
I'm kind of thinking, yeah, she needs a voice. So, and
Have you?
that's the thing about stories aren't cast in stone. Stories
Mm.
grow and develop. Um, uh, it's not about mangling the myths and legends. I mean, I haven't changed the story. I have just added to it.
Lovely.
Just filled in stuff that hasn't been mentioned. Because you imagine the writer at the time wasn't actually thinking of women particularly, or
Mm.
well, let's bring out that female voice.
I suppose that's part of the evolution of ourselves as well as the practice of Druidry as well. So to have a female chief is going to do that, and that is part of the evolution of it, I would imagine.
Now they're mentioned in the landscapes. There were female druids. So when Maeve was going, the Táin Bó Cúailnge up to taking her army from Connacht to Ulster for the fight, for the battle, she met Fidelm, who was a seer, and she stops her on the road and she says, "I have just come from Alba. I have been studying the art of seership."
Mm.
And Maeve asks her to give a prophecy, and she does. There's Birog, and I tell Birog's story, who's a really important story, druid. She has two mentions, a little druid woman called Birog, so Lugh, in the second battle of Moitura, he kills his grandfather Balor, saves the Tuatha Dé Danann from the Fomorians.
Mm.
There's just two mentions of Birog, but Birog ensures that Lugh is conceived and also saved his life when his grandfather tried to kill him. So it's like, wait a minute. If she hadn't been there, none of this would have happened. So just bringing out the other, because it's like he's the hero, he saves the day.
Mm.
Like,
But
ah,
who's
yes.
working behind the scenes?
But who ensured that he even came into existence
Mm.
and he stayed alive? So in my book, she's the heroine in the story. So
Mm.
it's finding that voice. That's what I like to do. And there are other references to druids as well, female druids.
You referenced it earlier as well, the reemergence of the Irish language. It feels like the timing is right. How does our native Changa play a part in our connection to the land and indeed what you do as a Druid?
Oh, it's huge. I was almost fluent when I was in school,
Mm.
because I went to a primary school for a term in Connemara back in the last century where the children didn't even speak English.
Wow. Oh my
So I was
goodness me.
immersed and I had to do it. So it was vernacular Irish, it was Connemara Irish. It wasn't the Caijon, because
Yeah.
that was beaten into so many people. Unfortunately, if people had been allowed just to speak like they learned to speak English with their bad grammar
Mm-hmm.
and their various accents, etc. But anyway, then I lost it because I wasn't using it. And somebody introduced me to Duolingo. Here's a plug for Duolingo.
Yeah.
9 years ago. And I started doing it and it came back.
Yeah.
It just opened the door and it all came back. And I mean, I speak Irish every day. But what's really interesting is that it was my Druidry got me back into it. And I remember
Mhm.
a number of years ago, I can't remember, there was I think a TV3 program called Furangi.
Hmm.
where they were pairing towns to improve their Irish, and there was a competition. And we were paired with, Freshford is the village near me. We were paired with Cong. Now Cong won, but I was asked if I would do. It was, they were coming to film in Freshford on the summer solstice. Would I do a summer solstice ceremony on Scoilge? Which I did,
Gosh.
and they never showed it in the program.
Oh no.
I
Oh
think it's on
no.
Freshford. Anyway, but fine. But I thought, do you know what, Emer, get your finger out.
Yeah.
And um, and when I go to the UK, because obviously that's where the order is based, although it's a global order, I will use Irish, and people just go wild for it. And they say, "I don't know what you meant. I don't know what you said, but oh my god, the hair was standing in the back of my."
Oh wow.
So yes, the Irish language. If you look at place names, now I'm a bit nerdy about this.
Hmm.
You will find clues to the landscape.
Oh yeah.
So we'll say Rathvilly in Carlow is Rathvilla. That is the fort of the sacred trees. So there were sacred trees there. Or you have Moville or Moyvilly, the plain of the silver trees. There's
Mm.
you will have clues about the landscape and the stories that will have happened from the Irish. It was unfortunate that our place names were translated, two
Mm.
centuries ago. Such a pity because um, you miss the spirit of the land. And in Iceland, for example, it's against the law to change the name of a place because you
Wow.
will offend the spirit of place.
Oh, I love the way they operate with their fairy folk as well. It's such a wonderful tradition that they have out there.
And Freshford is a misnomer. Acha Ur is the Irish for Freshford, which means fresh field. So when they were translating, they thought it was Oha, the ford. And when the Udui were coming up from wherever they were migrating, they came through a gap. It's now called Barna, which is the Irish gap. And they came down and they saw this fresh land, Freshford,
Mm.
Acha Ur. But when you look at the English,
Freshford,
it
what does
was
it even mean? Yeah. And I suppose as well with the Irish language, I mean, there's so much that it holds. So it holds our history, our connection to the land, but it holds even things like recipes that we would have foraged from the land, that's gone. So it has taken away that, it has taken away that connection for us. It's taken away in a sense, our sovereignty because it's taken away the knowledge of that we held of the land.
I think the famine, the,
Mm.
the not being allowed to speak Irish, I think has done a huge amount of damage. But you know what? It's coming back.
Yeah,
You look at social media, how many people are posting Irish, all sorts of people running courses.
it's great.
My
Yeah.
daughter, I sent her, she was home educated. And but after her father died, I kept her at home for a year and I just wasn't able to keep teaching a stroppy teenager. I like hungry adults who want to be inspired by me. And my daughter was one of those. So I sent her to a Gael school and she had no Irish because my Irish at the time when we were educating our kids wasn't good
Mm,
enough. One of my
mm.
regrets. Otherwise, they'd have been brought up bilingually. Anyway, she hated Irish. She spent her first year doing detention for speaking English. She's, she's now 23 and we speak Irish together. Just
Oh,
and I remember being at camp 2 years in a row in the last number of years, and these young ones created a pop up Gaeltacht. And
yeah.
I and another old woman, the only old ones there, and I said, "Why did you do this? Why are you all sitting here?" And they all said, "I don't want to lose my language. I'm afraid I'll lose it." So
Mm.
there's now a grow for the language. It's not a dead language, and I think in DCU there are maybe three or four or five courses in the Irish language, in
Mm.
technology, not in linguistics.
Oh, oh, that's amazing.
And it is an official EU language.
Mm,
So it is growing. And and the language is growing. So even languages, with computers. So Rivra is a computer, Rivra Lunya is a laptop.
mm, mhm.
Um, Keen Realton is a remote. And it isn't an anglicized word.
Yeah, yeah.
It is growing and people are more and more interested. So it brought my Druidry brought my Irish back to me.
It's wonderful. You know what? And I did an Irish language TV show recently, where you return to the Gaeltacht and you learn Irish. And my first impression was, oh, that looks like so much fun. And I never got to do it as a kid. So I said, okay, I'm just going to give this a shot. It's not normally the thing that I would do. And I was blown away by what came back by day 5 of total immersion. by day 5, I was dreaming in Irish, I was thinking in Irish, and all these phrases came back. Now it's kind of gone again a little bit, but I'm like you on Duolingo, speaking to my kids in Irish. It just feels, I don't know, there's this different sense to it and a different feel to it that I hadn't had before or didn't have with other languages that weren't my native language.
Yes, and it's interesting. I even if I'm not speaking to somebody, I don't meet somebody in the day. I'm on my own or whatever it is. I will send texts and emails in Irish to
Mm.
people who obviously understand Irish,
Yeah,
and it allows me to look up. I have Changlin, which is a beautiful app on my phone. I don't know if you know it.
I don't know. Changan, okay.
Cheanglann. It's free. They have an Irish, English, English, Irish, Irish, Irish grammar
Great.
and sound from the 3 dialects.
Mhm.
Brilliant. So, and there's a word for the day. So I'm always looking at people say, "Does she ever get off her phone?" It'll be Irish. I'm looking up.
Oh, wow. It's amazing.
Um, so it's growing. More and more people are wanting to speak it, learn it.
Mm. And I feel like the connection to the land will increase with that.
Absolutely.
Mm.
It's interesting when you look at the Irish language. How we walk in circles, so you follow the sun. So if you're in a ceremony, and that's there in the language. um, Deishil means to walk to the right with your right hand to the circle, to the center. You
Mm.
start in the east because they've hear them means behind me, which
Mhm.
means to the west of me. So it means you're orientated towards the east.
Mm.
So
Okay.
and Desh, you're going towards the south, Deshkart. And if you're going closing a circle or ending, you go Tuhil towards Tua, the north. There's lots of clues in the language, and this just makes me tingle.
I love it. Do you think there's an particular ancient Irish wisdom that you think is crucial for us to reclaim today?
It's there in the landscape. It's there. It's
Mm.
it's. I think your wisdom is to be found in your landscape by being there, not importing somebody else's.
Mm.
For for a long time, people say, "Oh, we need the Native American stuff. We need this because we don't have anything here." And still hear a little bit of it. I always wish we had it here. It's like it's been going on for a long, long time. It's always
Yeah.
been there. Now you need to open and see it and
Yeah.
appreciate it. And I think maybe it's because of our colonial past that kind of
It
you
wasn't valued, I think, as well.
internalized shame over
Yeah.
it, which is
Hmm.
associated with suspicion, and of course, our superstition. But it's interesting. It's the job of the colonialist to undermine the culture of the colonized, and
Mm.
it's about now people reclaiming it for themselves. I think with the Gaelic revival, with independence, there was all of that, and literature, um, and I'm not sure how ordinary people engaged with it, but
Mm.
people who are close to the land do.
Yes.
They know it. It's
Yeah.
the ones who are maybe more urban miss it or miss out on it. Uh, but it's growing,
Mm.
and it's about finding the magic even in your town, even looking up the history,
Hmm.
finding an old well, in a field that's been covered over, those kind of things, and looking for the stories. And duchas.ie, that
No.
the folklore collection.
Okay.
So they went around in the 30s collecting folklore. So from adults, but also the schools collection where they sent children home. I think it was maybe over a period of a few years where children went home, collected the folklore and brought them in. And they were handwritten and some beautiful handwriting, I think maybe by
Oh,
the teachers. Now they are transcribing them into text.
oh, wonderful.
That's free, ducas.ie. And you'd find loads of stories there. So you could look for wherever see if there's anything in your townland.
Yeah.
Or
Because
you,
I live close to I live close to a hill called Fairy Hill. And I'm like, that name didn't come out of nowhere, you know.
you know,
I was so curious about it. What role do you think intuition plays in one's spiritual practice?
I think in one's life, I learned
Mm.
to my cost when it took me years to trust myself. And each
Mm.
time I didn't trust myself, it hurt me. So I've learned to listen to my gut. And even when all else sees things differently, I hold my fire and I go, I'm listening to my gut. I'm listening to my gut. Hasn't let me down. I question it. I don't
Yes.
assume. People tell me, oh, my intuition tells me, Eimear, that you're going to, have 20 children. It's like, well, no, I don't care about your intuition. That's not true.
Yeah.
It's about questioning it. But I know I certainly trust my nose.
Mm. Mm.
And if I have an enthusiastic yes initially, I put it on hold to see, does it persist? And if it persists, yes. And if it goes down, I leave it alone, because sometimes the glamour of something can call you.
Yes. Yeah.
And so,
The ego can kind of
yeah.
override the gut a little.
But if it's a no, that doesn't let me down.
Mm. Can I ask, what does that feel like for you?
It's here in my solar plexus, and
Okay.
it's a feeling of dread in some sense. It's like that. Well, it's the dread may be too strong, but it's like I feel something churning, and it's not pleasant.
Ah. And what does your yes feel like then?
Yippee! I can usually,
Yeah.
but then I go, okay, wait, 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 wait. And then if it's the right one, like when I clicked send to join the order, this
Yeah.
big rush came up. And I decided a few weeks ago to retire. I'm going to retire from my psychology practice in July. Uh,
Congratulations.
as soon as I made the decision, I had that rush, lightness, and I thought, yes.
Uh,
So that, because I shouldn't, I shouldn't,
mhm.
I need to, blah blah blah. I should stay on a little bit longer, etc. I mean, I'm retirement age, but I'm going to be, I'm still working,
Yeah.
uh, still doing things that I want to do, concentrate on my storytelling, etc. But
Amazing.
I wasn't too sure. I wasn't too sure. But as soon as I made the decision, whoa, and then that was the right one, and it still feels right.
Amazing. When you practice ritual, either in community or by yourself, have you ever had a really powerful experience that you've gone, whoa, this is feeling a little out of the ordinary?
Yes, but I can't remember them
Oh, why can't you remember them?
because I have them very often.
They happen very often, is it?
Yeah,
Oh,
and then
wow.
people will tell me, "Oh my God, that ceremony! Oh wow, blah blah blah. I had such insights, or my mother came to me, or I just
Lovely.
felt I shed stuff, or something else came in."
Yeah.
It doesn't happen with all of them. Uh, yeah, or what the things I can remember
Hmm.
are where we're calling facing the east, and we're calling on the powers of the east, or opening up the east, and then a flock of birds come by,
Oh, yeah. All your
or
affirmations. Yeah.
calling on fire, and then a spark just jumps out of the fire, or suddenly with the west you hear the river because there's a river nearby, but often you don't hear it, but something comes into our awareness.
Mm.
Or I remember once we were doing a full moon ceremony, and it was winter. It was a cloudy night, and we're in a friend's place, and we're all facing where the moon was, and we called to the moon, and with that the clouds opened and the moon
Oh.
appeared, and there were people there for the first time. They go, how did you do that? I go, "What?"
Because there's a perception as well, this older person. I remember chatting to my friend about druids before, and he was like, yeah, like they control the weather and it's like lightning coming out of their hands and stuff. And I was like, well, I mean, there's something to it. You are communing with the nature, with the elements, and.
Oh, about the weather, I have a reputation for being a weather witch. I know.
Tell me, tell
Well,
me, tell me.
it's only in 20 years, was it 21 years of doing ceremonies, we had one where we were washed out, and that was World Rivers Day.
Well,
And it was warm, so it was at the autumn equinox, and we were all soaked to the skin. I think that was 28. It was before COVID, and everybody was smiling. And I said, "This is the first time it's been, that it was so wet." Other times it might be raining, and it would stop before the ceremony. And one particular winter solstice, uh, it was howling, and everybody was gathered in my house, and we were going to go out to. I have a temple. It's a tower castle.
mm,
We were going
mm.
out there to do the ceremony in the dark. And it was howling, wind, rain, absolute misery. And we're all gathered in the kitchen before we were going out. And a friend turned up and he said, thought you said you could manage the weather. And I said, I don't know. I don't control it. If it happens, it happens.
Yeah.
Because I do say, thank you, clouds, for staying away so that we
Mm.
might have some ease for our ceremony. I don't say, please don't wait. Or don't rain.
Yes.
I
Yeah.
thank for the nurturing of the importance of the rain on the land and all of that. Anyway, so I thought, what can I do? Anyway, I was going out to the temple for something, and I looked up at the sky, clear, stars shining, light. It's like, where did the wind and rain go? I go back in, call him out. I said, "What's that?" And he goes, "Why did you do that?" And then we did the ceremony, and on the way back, he and Howard and I were talking about this. And Howard said, "Well, the rain and the wind will start now in about 20 minutes." And he was wrong. It started in 22 minutes.
Oh my goodness. I love
And,
the ethos of that you work with it rather than try to control it.
and Druidry is not about controlling.
Yeah.
There are other traditions that control and summon and banish and all that stuff. We don't. It's ours is manifesting through collaboration and working with. And that's how it is. And that's what happens with the weather.
Mm.
I don't know. I mean, I'm not controlling anything.
Yeah.
Nor am I asking. I'm just giving thanks in anticipation that it will be fine.
Interesting. So you're not even asking. So you're seeing it that it's going to, say, for example, the rain. You're seeing it that the rain's going to stop, and you're giving thanks for about to stop.
Yeah, and interesting. I spent a lot of time in Tanzania. I taught every year there for 20 years, and we would meet healers with my friend Shaban and Howard, and we went to work doing a rainmaking ritual with the Sandabe, who would be related to the San of the Kalahari, hunter-gatherers, but these were now living a settled life. And there had been a drought for 3 years. It was a very, very poor community, and they didn't have the money you need a goat to offer, and you need to brew some beer to make offerings to the ancestors, and they didn't have the money to do this. So we bought it. So anyway, we're in this place with around the sacred tree, and we're doing the various rituals. And then it comes to the end, and I say to Shaban, I said, "Oh, so when is the rain going to come?" I had never done this before. I'm familiar in Ireland with, okay, it would be great now if the rain didn't come. Now here's the option.
Yeah.
And he said, now I was a bit skeptical. I thought, look, this is really far-fetched. He said, well, it could happen within 2 or 3 days, or in a few hours, or sometimes it begins at the end of the ceremony. As we're walking back from the site where we were doing the ceremony, I could hear thunder in the distance and clouds. And we were camped under a baobab tree, and we sat out and we watched as the rain and the clouds got closer, and the thunder and lightning, and the heavens burst open,
Oh, wow.
washing through the tent where my kids and my friend were sleeping. And the whole night, the village were up. There was a little hall beside her, dancing and singing all night, celebrating the rain.
How beautiful. You shrug your shoulders like, oh, I don't know, but yeah, you know.
It was hardly me. It was certainly the healers there. But I was just fascinated at how that happened.
Amazing. Did it pique your curiosity and want to work further with it?
I just do what I do.
Yeah. If you could leave, we're coming towards the end now. So if you could leave one piece of wisdom for future generations, what would it be?
Find the extraordinary in the ordinary. It's all around you. Just look when you're walking. What is it you see? That's where the answer is. And it's all within here. It's where you are standing in this moment. No matter where you are. I remember I had a student who had been a political prisoner in South Sudan, and he was in solitary confinement for a year, and he was put in some kind of wooden crate or box. He couldn't stand up.
Oh, horrendous.
And so it was in the dark, and they renewed it every month. So he never knew how long he was going to be there for, or even how long he was there in the end. And I said to him, how did you survive it? Because this guy wasn't crazy. He said, they took everything from me. And I decided they would not take the one thing that they wanted, which was my mind. So what really struck me is that he had a choice when he had no choice. He still found a choice. You're not getting my mind. When every other freedom was taken. We all have our minds. We all have our hearts. We have our souls. And we hold on to those and nurture them no matter where we are. And if we can bring peace into that place, no matter what's going on around, it's a good place to start. Where you are is where you need to be.
Beautiful. Where you are is where you need to be. Eimear, this is a Live Wild podcast, so we do a Live Wild quick fire round. Are you ready for it?
Oh my goodness, what's this?
Okay. Do you believe in magic?
Yes.
What's your favorite?
Druid. Magic and Druidry is the same in Irish, and it's Druid.
Oh. What is your favorite tree?
You're asking all of them.
Not
I
to
love
offend the other trees, but
birch,
birch.
hawthorn, oak, rowan.
If you could distill yourself down to an essence, what would that essence be?
Oh God, that's awful. I can't do that.
Okay, we want to skip that one.
Somebody else has to do that. I can't.
What's the wildest thing you've ever done?
I got married to my husband, my second husband, 7 months after meeting him.
Oh, yeah. That's wild.
Best thing I ever did. He was widowed and I was separated. Both of us 9 months,
Oh,
and we met. We met when we were 9 months separated. He was widowed. Started going out a month later, and 7 months, and then 6 months after that, got married.
beautiful.
And had my daughter here at 42.
Wow.
That was another reckless thing to do and the right thing to do.
Yeah, exactly. Good for you. Good for you. What's the one thing you do every day that helps you live wild and free?
I have my morning ritual.
What does that look like? Can you share?
Well, it's prayers for protection and groundedness and surrender, and Swedish bitters I have in the morning.
Swedish bitters.
Yeah, they set my whole system in place.
Oh, I love it. I love it. Thank you so much for joining me today. It's just been so lovely, so full of wisdom, and I really appreciate it. Thank you, Eimear.
It's been a joy talking to you, Hilary. Wonderful.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode of Live Wild. If you enjoyed our conversation, make sure to follow the show and share it with someone who might need it today. If you'd like to go deeper, you'll find all my work over at hillaryrose.ie. From keynote speaking and corporate facilitation to one-to-one consultants and pick my brains sessions, to upcoming workshops, events, and everything happening in the Live Wild community. This podcast is for entertainment purposes only and is not a substitute for professional, medical, or therapeutic advice. Thank you for being here. Stay curious, stay courageous, and as always, live wild.